Once again, we're seeing a prime example of the food chain that exists in football, but tends to be even more prominent in Germany, more pronounced at least, where clubs aren't afraid to source their players and coaching staff from rival sides within the Bundesliga, and most importantly, rival sides are willing to deal with them. Hey, I'm Adrian, and in this video we're looking at Germany in general, but we'll take some time to look at Bayern signing of Julian Nagelsmann as well. And hey, if you find yourself enjoying the content, then don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here so you can find your way back to us much more easily in the future to take in, our weekend recaps, our explainer videos, opinion pieces, live streams, and much more. Before we get into said content, we have to thank our sponsors, and you know who it is, OneFootball. OneFootball makes following your favorite teams, competitions, players, and managers, in this case, a breeze, allowing you to customize your newsfeed to your liking and delivering the fastest breaking news right to your phone so you are always up to date on all managerial changes worldwide. Just like myself, waking up to the news about Nagelsmann yesterday. But not just managerial changes, of course, as you can track the likelihood of player transfers, follow matches live for up to the second updates, watch videos and highlights. You can even stream certain matches in certain regions. So use the link in the description for a free download on iOS or Android, and you'll be doing the channel a big favor. It's Flick time. After joining Bayern Munich initially on an interim basis, Hansi Flick helped the Bavarian Giants to European glory, truly justified European champions, it has to be said, as they ended up rising from the ashes to win a treble. Not bad. But his first full season with the club has had its difficulties, whether it's due to the pandemic-imposed light transfer bill, lighter at least, injuries, what have you. Bayern haven't steamrolled the rest of Germany and Europe as they did in the second half of the 2019-20 season. Following Bayern's elimination on the away goals rule against PSG in the Champions League, it seemed like Flick's mind had been made up. He'd made comments in the past alluding to how the squad didn't have the quality and depth that it needed in order for him to maintain the success he had achieved last season, most notably in defense, Bayern's Achilles heel, and in the striker position where once Lewandowski is injured, the system seems to fail or simply not be as successful. After Bayern had been bounced from the Champions League at the quarterfinal stage, it seemed as if Flick would announce his departure right there and then, given it had been rumored for a while now that he would be leaving Bayern. Ever since it was made known that Jogi Löw wouldn't continue on as the German national team manager following Euro 2020, Hansi Flick's name was the strongest link to the job, especially given the role he allegedly played in Germany's 2014 World Cup triumph. While his spot as Löw's successor hasn't been confirmed yet, his time at Bayern coming to an end certainly has, and on his own terms as well. Initially, Flick was supposed to refrain from saying anything to the media when it came to his future with Bayern, despite Flick already communicating to the board that he would like to terminate his contract come the end of the season. But he took matters into his own hands following Bayern's victory over Wolfsburg in April of 2021, first telling the players in the locker room that he would be leaving them once the season was up, and then telling the media that he wished to terminate his contract following the season. Whether his dissatisfaction comes down to transfers and his terrible relationship with sporting director Hasan Salihamidzic remains to be seen. But the announcement of his intentions, it worked. It forced Bayern's hand. In doing so, as Ralf Honigstein pointed out in the article I've linked below, he essentially forced the hand of the Bayern board, who later released a statement saying that they didn't agree with how he unilaterally communicated his wishes, and that he was supposed to keep it quiet until after the Mainz match, the one in which they foresaw themselves clinching yet another Bundesliga title. I had another video on the Bundesliga food chain in which I talked about how the best talent in the Bundesliga are hoovered up by Dortmund, Gladbach, Bayern, and the other top clubs in the division. And so with a vacancy at the helm of the senior side, it was time for a prophecy to be fulfilled. Julian Nagelsmann grew up supporting Bayern Munich, despite playing for their rivals 1860 Munich during his extremely brief playing career that was ended by injury. He grew up in a city called Landsberg, which is about 60 kilometers west of Munich. Nagelsmann has remained very open about his desire to eventually manage Bayern Munich, previously stating that they have been a, quote, big part of my dreams, and that he, quote, wouldn't start a war if Bayern were blocked by Leipzig, simply out of professionalism. His intentions and dreams have been clear. It must come as quite the gut punch to RB Leipzig, who had already lost Upamecano to Bayern Munich, Bayern just so happened to be the first club to trigger the release clause and agree to terms with Upamecano. He was free game for anyone, and on April 27th, 2021, it was announced that they were paying a world record transfer fee to sign Julian Nagelsmann from Leipzig, making him the most expensive manager in football history. This is actually the second time in Nagelsmann's coaching career that he has been purchased, by the way, as he was purchased by RB Leipzig from Hoffenheim for 5 million euros. And it is the second or third time that Bayern have moved for him, having previously failed to sign him as a U19 coach and as a replacement for Jupp Heynckes before Niko Kovac took over in 2018. Now the question remains, who will be Leipzig's next manager and why is it Jesse Marsch? Well, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it feels like the most obvious move out there, as Marsch will continue his journey through the Red Bull footballing family. Having gone from New York Red Bulls to RB Salzburg, the likelihood of him moving on to RB Leipzig now that there's a vacant spot is high, and it always seemed like it was in the works. He's proven his worth at Salzburg, while he has taken the time to improve his German, and given how sought after he is across Europe, he would be a great addition to this Leipzig squad. He understands the Red Bull DNA. And so Nagelsmann, to me at least, is just another example of how the Bundesliga has a natural pecking order or food chain when it comes to the transfers of players and evidently managers now. Nagelsmann went from Hoffenheim to Leipzig as Hoffenheim's best players and their top quality manager were picked apart by bigger clubs, unfortunately, or at least clubs with more purchasing power such as Bayern or RB Leipzig. And now, after 2 seasons at the second best team in the league, Nagelsmann is moving on to the best team in the league. And no doubt, more stories about how Bayern are killing competition will ring out, even though they're just doing the same thing that the other top teams are doing, especially when it comes to managers. One thing Bayern have going for them in this instance is that at least the Bundesliga title race is virtually over, but it will always seem jarring to announce such matters while the season is ongoing. They don't wait until the season is over in order to do so. But that's par for the course in the Bundesliga, it seems, as these sort of mid-season announcements of players leaving one team for a step up to another are commonplace. Bayern did it with the Upamecano transfer and other transfers in the past as well, just as the other top teams have done also. Back in mid-February, here's an example for you. It was announced that Marco Rose would be leaving Borussia Monchengladbach in order to join Borussia Dortmund for a rumored €5 million transfer. A mid-season announcement of a coach's departure is an interesting one given the effect it has on the rest of the squad. Players' motivations can wane when they know that the man they're listening to day in, day out won't even be there next season. They have nothing to prove to him anymore, really. Borussia Dortmund and Gladbach were level on 33 points at the time of the announcement, both vying to make the top 6 and push into the Champions League places. Following that announcement, however, that Rose would be signing with Dortmund, Gladbach went on the worst run of their season, losing an unprecedented 7 matches consecutively, dropping out of the Champions League and the DFB Pokal, and slumping down to 10th by mid-March. They've since come out of that slump, and injuries did play a role as well in that poor run, but the timing of Rose's departure announcement coupled with the major downturn of form is certainly compelling. At the time, they were just 6 points from a UCL spot. Now they're 13 away. Then, with Gladbach needing to fill their soon-to-be vacant managerial spot, it was at first believed to be all but certain that Xabi Alonso would take over as the manager, leaving Real Sociedad's B team. But in the Bundesliga food chain fashion, it was later announced that Gladbach had signed Eintracht Frankfurt's manager Adi Hütter for a rumored €7.5 million. Gladbach and Eintracht Frankfurt could consider themselves to be rivals, teams of a similar stature in the Bundesliga based on their performances over the last few seasons. The timing of Gladbach's announcement that Adi Hütter would be joining them next season came off almost as an attempt at sabotage or destabilizing the surging Frankfurt a bit. Why? Well, Hütter signing with Gladbach came out on April 13th, and 4 days later, Gladbach beat Eintracht Frankfurt 4-0, snapping their 3-match winning streak. 2 match days later, Frankfurt faltered again, getting beat out by Bayer Leverkusen. And now, with 3 matches remaining and the title all but won, they need just 3 points to clinch it, by the way. Bayern have announced that they are taking Nagelsmann from Leipzig. They aren't necessarily messing up the title race, but still. I think Bayern gets more hate when it comes to the food chain and takes on more of the blame or accusations of hurting the league, because there's nobody else in the league that can take players and managers from them, really, unless they have a massive downturn in quality. As unfortunate as it is, every other club is a step down from Bayern in a competitive sense. They have the best chance of winning trophies at Bayern Munich and the best chance at playing regularly in Europe as well. The fact that they've won 7 million trophies in a row, 7 million Bundesliga titles in a row, doesn't help their cause either, in the court of public opinion. I think people take issue with it because it's not something that you see as often in the Premier League, for example, direct rivals selling players and trading managers. But it absolutely exists across the rest of Europe, and the notion is alive and well in Germany. What do you guys think? Will Nagelsmann be a success with this talent at his disposal at Bayern Munich? Will Dortmund surge under Rosa and Gladbach under Hütter? Is Marsch coming in for Nagelsmann at Leipzig? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like to let the algorithm know for me, or a dislike if you didn't. I'm Adrian. I thank you for taking the time to watch this video and hope to see you in another one. Ciao!